the last video, I listed some of the media such as drawings, models, and images, and interactive media that architects use to communicate and present their ideas to general public. And I told that out of all these media types, images is what is most often used and most often distributed. And images is also what we're going to ask you to do in the last task. You will present your project through images. So let's talk about now a little bit of what makes a good architectural image and how to go about making it. In the last video, I also made a point that you should always try to, whatever you do, when you're presenting a project, you should try to, one, explain your project to people, and also to make people excited about your project. And the best way to make people excited about your project is to show them how your project affects their life and how the thing that you're making will improve their life, what role your design will play in their everyday life and the things that they do. In order to do that, you obviously not only want to, in your images, show how your building or how your project in general looks like, but you also want to show elements such as activities that people do in your space. So you want to try to, in some way, simulate little people, for example, doing everyday common activities, taking a cup of coffee, just enjoying the space. You try to find a way to do that depending on the media that you're employing. Maybe cut out small people, in this case, to put it on your model. And you also maybe want to add a couple of other things, such as props. So you want to simulate a little trees, maybe. All these elements will help not only show people how your building look like and what are the things that will happen in your project, but most importantly, all these elements will help a viewer get immersed into your project. And this is actually the key point to make people excited, is to feel them immersed in the space that you're creating. And as I mentioned, one of the ways to immerse people is to present them activities, but it's very important, for example, to think about ways such as where you position your camera. So if you have a model, for example, and you take a photo of your model, if you want to really immerse people in this space, then you want to try to take a photo from such a position that would relate to normal eye points. So maybe you try to lower your camera to take a photo from the street level and to simulate exactly a space that people will occupy while looking at a project. By doing this, you, in a way, make a viewer participate in activity that's happening in this space. And this is really the most important element of the immersion, feeling of participation in whatever happens in the space that you're creating. Now, so immersion is one really important element to get people excited, but also don't forget that your image should also look good. And when I say image should look good, that basically means that you should take care and consider all these elements of visual composition that we mentioned last week, because those elements of composition do not apply only to architecture, but they apply to all visual arts. So they would apply equally to graphic design, to photography, and definitely something that you want to consider while you, let's say, compose your images, your photos of model in this particular case. So, as always, two important things that you want to consider are hierarchy and balance. So hierarchy, you want to make sure that you're really showing what's really important. You're showing important elements of your project, and you try to make them look important in your image by giving them prominence, such as you remember, size or different shape, texture. And then, obviously, a very important thing is the balance. So you want to think about things like symmetry and asymmetry, depending on what's the character of your design. So if your design is really stable, symmetrical, then you probably want to reflect that through your presentation and take very symmetrical photos. But I guess most often you will work with asymmetry in some way or another. And also because asymmetry is making really more engaging. And so we're gonna, in the next video, we're gonna get to the details. But right now, you have to remember two important things when you're making images. First, immersion. Make people participate in activity and they will get excited about it. And second, visual composition. Never forget about that. In the next video, we're going to show you how to actually take good photos.